What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we have our full deep dive into the Vikings-Packers Week 17 matchup in US Bank Stadium. I cannot wait for it, so we're going to dive into the whole shebang on today's show. But before we do so, I do want to say thank you guys to everybody who has hit that subscribe button this season. We actually crossed over 47,000 subscribers this past Sunday, so I want to take a quick second and just thank you guys because the support on the channel has been unbelievable this football season, and it is all credit to you. But if you guys aren't subscribed, hit that sub button and help us reach 48K before kickoff this Sunday. All right, so topics discussed on today's preview. We're going to start off with some injury news around the Packers and the Vikings, and then we're going to dive into a full deep dive around the Green Bay Packers. What has made them so special this season? Then I got my 5 keys to victory, and then my score prediction at the tail end of today's show, so stay tuned for that. But first off, some big-time injury news for the Packers. So Christian Watson, he left the game on Monday night, Packers versus Saints, with a knee injury, and he's questionable to play versus the Vikings. Now, Matt LaFleur did come out and say that he expects him to go this Sunday, but it is definitely an injury that they may not want to rush him back, considering the Packers, their expectation this season is to make a Super Bowl. So we'll see if they want to risk, that injury getting worse this upcoming weekend versus the Vikings, but he is questionable with a knee. And then Ivan Pace Jr., he is back, number 0, Agent 0. He will play versus the Packers. Obviously, we know he's been dealing with that hamstring injury that he suffered against the Chicago Bears about 4 weeks ago, but he's off IR. He should be ready to go. And then same with Jalen Redmond, defensive tackle. He missed last week versus the Seahawks with a concussion, but Kevin O'Connell said it should be all good to go for the big fella in the middle. And having Pace and Jalen Redmond back are massive because the Packers are going to come into this game. They're going to try to come into your building this weekend, and they're going to try to establish the run at the highest level. And this is one of the better rush offenses in the National Football League, over 2,200 yards, averaging just under 150 yards per game. They're going to try to punch you in the mouth. They're going to try to be the more physical football team. And I remember watching Packers versus Lions on Thursday night a couple weeks ago, and I was saying that is one of the most physical football games I have ever watched. I think this Sunday in US Bank Stadium, 3:25 with Tom Brady on the call, this will be one of the more physical football games of the season, and a big, matchup to watch here is going to be Jalen Redmond, Ivan Pace, and this Vikings rushing defense trying to stop this Packers rushing attack. They are versatile. They can kick you or they can beat you in multiple phases of that run game. So I think it's going to be a very, very physical game this Sunday, and I can't wait for it. But I'll ask you guys this. What do you think on this one? Does the Packers run game concern you? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and answer your thoughts on if the Packers run game concerns you. All right, let's deep dive into the Green Bay Packers, man. So as we know, back in Week 4, the Vikings went in the Lambeau and beat the Packers 31-29. They jumped on Green Bay, getting up 28-0, and then after a Jalen Naylor muff punt, it kind of all went downhill for the Vikings, but they still were able to pull out a victory. But I do want to highlight their offense here first. So we're just talking about the run game here. One of the best in the league, top 5. In the National Football League, averaging 147.3 yards per game, but they're a great offense, man. You got to give a lot of credit to Matt LaFleur. I think is the top 5 coach in the National Football League. I think he's a top 3 play caller in the National Football League, and he is a big reason why they're averaging, 27.5 points per game, which is 7th in the league. But what makes them so special is the weapons they have on the outside. We will talk about Josh Jacobs here a little bit more in depth in a second, but they got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and then obviously Tucker Kraft. I mean, they have 3 kind of B-plus level receivers, and then they got a really, really good tight end in Tucker Kraft. So the weapons are there, but where does it start with Green Bay? It starts with that running back, Josh Jacobs. And this season, he's been fantastic. He has been that bell cow back, already almost to 300 carries on the season, just over 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns on the ground. This is their go-to guy in goal line to go situations. And listen, when you think about this Packers team, you, just on paper, you see Jordan Love, you see all these weapons, you would expect them to just be an air raid offense. We're throwing the ball all around the field. That's not the case with this team. They are a run-first offense. They are trying to beat you up front. They are trying to punch you in the mouth, and it starts with Josh Jacobs. It starts with that offensive line, and then if they can get that run game going, that's where we see the good Jordan Love, where he can get going in the play-action game. He can get going on those boots, and then he can just get the ball out to the elite weapons he has. And that's a big reason why he's had a really good year. I mean, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks, 3,100 yards, has been a bit inaccurate at times, but still, Jordan Love in his second year starting has been awesome for Green Bay. But how do you slow down J-Lo? Shout out the actual J-Lo. Quick little shout out there. But number one, get home with 4. You know, the Vikings are typical mug look where they're going to try the line, 7, 8 guys up on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to send the house. I actually think this weekend it should be the opposite. You try to get home with 4, so I'm calling out Grenard, Van Ginkel. Hopefully those guys are able to win their one-on-one matchups on the outside, and then you can try to confuse them because the Vikings, you know, I think their defense really attacks quarterbacks who don't process too well. And I think processing has been an undervalued kind of intangible in the NFL over the last couple of years in terms of quarterback play, where everybody just wants that guy with the big time arm who can touch every blade of grass on the football field. But with Jordan Love, I don't think he's the best processor. And I think if the Vikings are able to confuse him, you know, you can force him into a couple errant throws. And that gets me to the crowd noise on this. Like, US Bank Stadium is going to be hot this weekend. The crowd noise is going to be raining down. And if you got to pick and choose who's coming, it could be a disaster for Jordan Love. So I'm looking at all you Vikings fans. I actually heard 23% of all tickets that have been sold so far have gone to Packers fans. So hopefully it's not actually 23%, but I think it's going to be a crazy atmosphere this weekend. And then also you got to take advantage of chances this weekend. Jordan Love will throw you a couple footballs to the defense. You just got to come down with them. Like, I mean, we saw it back when the Vikings played in week 4. J-Lo, he gave you a bunch of chances, and the Vikings were able to pick him off 3 times. It's going to have to be very similar this weekend. But coming up next year, I got my keys to victory versus the Packers. I got 5 of them, so stay tuned for that. But first off, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Now, if you guys download the Prize Picks app today and plug in promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Now, I got a lineup for tonight's basketball games. I'm going to go with Grady Dick, more than 5.5 rebounds and assists. And I'm also going to ride with Giannis. He's been on a tear as of late, so I'm going to take the more on 30 points for him. But if you guys want to fade these picks, ride with these picks, I just ask you guys do so at Prize Picks. So download the app today. Plug in that promo code, CLNS, and you guys will get $50. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, key to victory number 1 for me. We're just going to go the good Sam Darnold. And we have gotten the good Sam Darnold over the last couple of weeks, so I don't really think he's going to revert to the guy that we saw back against the Titans, back against the Jags. We have gotten the best version of him the past couple of weeks. And the Packers defense, listen, they're gettable. I understand it's a good unit, but I don't think it's a great unit. They have really taken advantage of playing some poor offenses. You know, for example, the Saints this past week. They actually shut them out, the only team to be shut out in the National Football League so far this season. But listen, Darnold's been on a tear, and I think the thing with Darnold that is kind of misrepresented in, you know, just broad media is that people think he is more of a trailer than a truck. And what do I mean by that? Like, Sam Darnold is the truck that is carrying the trailer. He's not the trailer that is getting carried by the truck. He has really been the catalyst of this offense. I mean, you go look back at the past month, like the Bears game, the Cardinals, Falcons game, the Seahawks game this past weekend. If we had J.J. McCarthy or any other quarterback in that position, do we win that game? Probably not. But a guy that Sam Darnold could find all game long this Sunday is number 18. The 18 effect. And, I've talked about this countless times on the channel where it's, if opposing defenses are going to leave Justin Jefferson one-on-one, sit back, throw him the football. But if they're going to roll the coverage his way, put double, triple team coverage on him, then you got guys like Addison. You got guys like Hawkinson that can get open. So the 18 effect, it's on display every single weekend. But I got a feeling that the Green Bay Packers are going to leave him one-on-one a good amount. So I could see him going for over 100 yards this weekend. And, we already kind of teased it early on in today's show, but the crowd confuses Jordan Love. Now, I was looking back and I was trying to think, is this the biggest Vikings-Packers game since when? Probably 2015 in Lambeau Field with the NFC North title for Week 17. That's probably the biggest game, but I think the bank is going to be hot this Sunday. I mean, you fans, shout out to you guys, specifically against the Bears game a couple weeks ago. That was a crazy atmosphere, and I expect it to even be bigger, be better this weekend. So shout out to all of you guys that are going to this game, and also if you guys are going, let me know down below in the comments section. And then also number 4, got to match their physicality. They're a physical football team. And listen, I think Kevin O'Connell has been a fantastic coach for the Minnesota Vikings. He really is a great play caller. He's a great culture setter. But the one gripe I would have with a Kevin O'Connell-led football team is that they have been too much of a finesse football team. They have never been the most physical team. And, a lot of that has to do with, where your strengths at. The Vikings' strengths are on the perimeters. It's Jefferson, it's Addison, it's Hockenson. They never really had a true, either bell cow back or a great interior offensive line. So hopefully they're able to match it this weekend. But if you just match their physicality, the Packers can't hang with you on the outside. So that's key to victory, number 4 for me. And then number 5, sense of urgency. Every single game from here on out for the Vikings is a playoff game. And here are their scenarios. You win out, it's simple. You get the number 1 seed. You get to kick your feet up wild card weekend and watch all these other teams play, and you just get to wait and see who's coming to your building for the divisional round. But also, if you lose versus Green Bay, win versus Detroit, you land the number 5 seed. But if you lose out, you will likely land the 6 seed, assuming Green Bay will beat the Bears in Week 18. And I'll tell you what, this is a big difference, the 5 seed and the 6 seed. Because if you get the 5 seed, you're probably playing the NFC South winner, whether it's the Buccaneers or the Falcons. But if you're the 6 seed, you're going to have to go to Los Angeles and play the Rams. And that would be a tough game. So those are my 5 keys to victory: sense of urgency, match of physicality, confuse Jordan Love, and let Sam Darnold, the 18, take over in this ball game on Sunday. But I'll ask you guys this. Predict the score for me. Vikings, Packers, U.S. Bank Stadium. Tom Brady on the call. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. For me personally, I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a gritty, kind of big-time spot game for the Minnesota Vikings. So I got them winning 23-13. I think this defense is going to be the story of the game, but that's my score prediction. You guys let me know yours down below. And also, I'm on Twitter, @PatSieps is the Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. As always, Skol Vikes.